Welcome to AkronHipHop.com, where we paint positive images of our people every day. My name is Deborah Calhoun, and I teach at Kent State University in the Department of Pan-African Studies. Hey, Hiram, how are you?
I am okay, pretty fair for a square. You look lovely. I like
Thank
the
you.
black one.
Black.
Is that because you're a black teacher?
Because I'm a black woman.
Well, you better say it. Hey, what we doing today?
Today we are doing a three-peat, or 3-for-1, in our journey on building the African History Study Library. And remember, this is for not only your benefit, but for your family's benefit, your community's benefit, for any and everyone who you come across benefit. Because the more you know about yourself, the better you are able to stand on firm ground and footing as you navigate the world we're in today. So today we're doing three things, three books who are a little bit different than what I've done before. They are pictorials to an extent. The Black Book, Without Sanctuary, and lastly, the Peters Projection Map. These again give evidence to our greatness, give evidence to our ability to master our environment, and in one case, unfortunately, the victims of white supremacy as it operated in this country. First, the Black Book. It is a book that is a collection of Black inventiveness. It starts with music, dealing with the 1920s, the Harlem Renaissance, classic black and white photos of many of those stars, sheroes, and heroes who we remember in our upbringing in terms of some of the black movies and things that were out and about in the 1960s and in the 1940s. It's really a who's who of who was any entertainer at the time. Bill Bojangles Robinson, early pictures of Lena Horne, early pictures of Picnic Markham, early pictures of our work in the vaudeville circuits, the Nicholas Brothers, film stills of some of the classic movies that they were in, Bojangles, as I've mentioned, some with Shirley Temple, and through the Harlem Renaissance, the period in the 1920s where black culture flourished in a place called Harlem. Harlem, remember, was significant because of the attraction it drew of political types, not only of W.B. Du Bois, but Marcus Mosiah Garvey, who we've talked about in an earlier conversation. So all of this is covered. Some of the music is covered from the Civil War, the cakewalks that we used to organize as fundraisers, the vaudeville circuit, as I mentioned, and more importantly, some of the inventiveness of African American, both men and women, as they lived under slavery. Anything creative that we were able to do, whether it was with masonry, whether it was with music, whether it was with dance, whether it was with fashion, the Black Book has it all. And it's basically, as I mentioned, a pictorial, because I think it's important for our families and our children to see some of our greatness and how we led the way, even as early as in the early days of media and before there were talking pictures in live performances. The next book, Without Sanctuary, a little bit darker in terms of the content, but significant nonetheless, because it covers some of the photographs taken during our most tenuous period in this country, that is after emancipation and during Black Reconstruction, where Black excellence was on the rise, where we were owners of businesses and owner of hotels and owners of parlors and owners of restaurants. All of our ingenuity was pouring out in terms of this economic uptick in our activity, but it served to be a threat to the status quo. So in reaction to that threat, lynching was used as the means of control of the African American community. So the photographs in Without Sanctuary are what is called postcard art. And these postcards used to be sent through the U.S. mail system, I do believe, until 1968, when they outlawed it. But when I say lynching, I mean lynching, and I mean parties that they would hold in celebration of these lynchings. Men were lynched in groups of 2s and 3s and 4. Sometimes women were lynched. And it was almost like a circus-like an entertaining affair, because some crowd shots are available for us to see too, because the average Joe and Jane attended these functions as one would a social function. Unfortunately, some of them are kind of gory, but our history is gory, and our survivability of this gory period is amazing. It's amazing we pulled through and worked through that period. So that's Without Sanctuary, lynching photography in the United States. Our last piece of the journey is a bit of a visual too, and I'm sure Brother Hiram will put it up on the screen somewhere. It is the Peters projection map, and that map is important because it shows in direct size of the continents relative to the area of the earth. And that is to say that Africa is in its direct proportional size, the United States is in its direct proportional size. And the reason why this map is important is that it's different than the Mercator map that we grew up in school with, that are in many high schools and public places of education today, where it has the United States as the center of the world and everything else around it. In this case, it puts the biggest piece of territory first, square front and center. That is the African continent, and other places relative to their actual size on the planet's Earth. And the reason why it is important, because one's perception is really important of how you sometimes view yourself. If you perceive yourself as little or nothing, then you'll think yourself as little or nothing. And what is important about this map, especially for us as African people, Africa, we know, is 3.5 times the size of the United States. But we wouldn't get that from the maps that we see in our schools and places of so-called information and education. So these 3 texts, or pieces of information, the Black Book, Without Sanctuary, and the Peters projection map, is important because it helps us see our greatness for what it was and help us benefit and celebrate from that greatness. Now remember, this is not the end of the journey of self-education and awareness. It is really just the beginning. My name is Deborah Calhoun. Thank you again for joining me. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can follow me on Designs by Deborah. And when you see this video on Facebook, remember to like, share, and share again. Repeat, like, share, and share again, because knowledge is truly power. If you want to see me on YouTube, you can follow me at Diamond in the Rough. If you want to see me on Twitter, I am History Sister. And if you want to see what shenanigans I do on a day-to-day basis, look at me on Instagram at RoughDiamond824. And remember, you could always find these videos and much, much more information on AkronHipHop.com. And I thank you for your time today, and I will see you again next time.